This year, following the recommendation of the Team Recognition Committee, the Board of Directors has established what we call a Heritage Team category. This outstanding team is one that should also be remembered in Elgin sports history for its contributions. To present the 1948-49 Elgin High School basketball team, I'd like to introduce Richard Renner.
Well, good evening, and congratulations to all of you who are being recognized here tonight. You're a part of a great heritage of Elgin sports. And this evening, it's my privilege to introduce a shining example of that heritage, the Elgin High basketball team of 1948-49. Now, if you're here tonight, I'm pretty confident you appreciate excellence in sports. And the 48-49 team exemplified that excellence, but in a story deepened by human tragedy, adulation, resilience, and bitter frustration. In the 1940s, the state of Illinois was mad about high school basketball, and no community was more passionate about it than Elgin. And the high school sent several teams down to the state finals in those years. And under the Hall of Fame coach John Kraft, they came so close to a state title, but never quite got there. But in those years, there were a lot of rumors around town of some really remarkable boys on Elgin playgrounds and in the local gyms. And when those kids got to the high school, there was a sense that these would be the team everybody had been waiting for. Their excellence was apparent right from the beginning of the 1948 season, and the high expectations of Elgin fans were shared by coaches and sports writers statewide, and only inflamed by dominating victories over Chicago area and downstate basketball powers. Elgin was rated #1 in both the first United Press and Associated Press polls of the year, and they would be the first team in the history of the Associated Press basketball poll to be #1 throughout the entire regular season. And today we know it was a special team. Its coach and 3 members are already in the Hall of Fame, and 2 more are candidates for induction. And they were kind of like rock stars. They had a special allure. The newspapers followed their every move, featuring the so-called giant 6'7" center Bob Peterson, and particularly the forward Bob Servant, who superstitiously painted his toenails red before each game, and who amazed fans by his remarkable shooting skills despite having to play with a shoulder brace because of an old football injury. Well, on the road, Elgin set off frenzies of ticket buying. In DeKalb, they added seats to the gymnasium. They broadcast the game to an auditorium, but still, many people sat outside on a winter night, up on roofs, window ledges, fire escapes, to peer into the gym and see Elgin crush the 7th-ranked team in the state. And at Moline, 5,200 people turned out at their field house to see their 5th-ranked team fall to Elgin by 37 points. It had been 31-9 at the half, and it was Moline's worst loss on record. And when Elgin was on the road, thousands of Elgin fans gathered at the Elgin Gymnasium to hear a broadcast of the games there. The team was gaining national attention and traveled beyond Illinois to Madison, Wisconsin, where they beat Madison's 2 big high schools, both by more than 25 points. But on the way home, in a 3-car caravan, a northbound truck came out of a blinding snowstorm, striking 2 of the cars. Coach Kraft and Spence Morris, his assistant, were injured along with several players. And fortunately, many of the tall Maroons had been slumped in their seats sleeping and so avoided worse injuries. But Coach Morris, resting in his hospital room, suddenly passed away. Well, with Kraft hospitalized and his assistant dead, Elgin called on a new coach, who had been teaching history at the school, but had coached the boys as freshmen and sophomores. One game was postponed, but most of the boys soon recovered, and still ranked number 1, they started right where they left off and defeated powerful West Aurora. And as the team racked up victories, center Bob Peterson appeared to have a lock on a new individual scoring title for the conference, until he noticed a rash, measles. Without Peterson on the team suffered 2 defeats. And when a third defeat came, when Big Pete, still not himself, scored only 14 points against a team he'd crushed with 36 points only 11 days earlier. But again, Elgin regrouped, captured the conference title, and entered the state tournament as the clear favorite and top-ranked team in the state. The team captured its regional, its sectional, with hard-fought victories, and with the spotlight fully on them, they journeyed down to Champaign and entered the Sweet 16 as the Associated Press's favorite in its final poll. And then the hopes and the excitement all fell away with a stunning first-round loss to West Aurora. It was a ragged game where Aurora broke Elgin's fast-paced offense with a stall, forcing Elgin to foul to get the ball. But under the rules at the time, if you know your basketball, Aurora could decline the free throws and simply keep the ball. So the game's final moments were reported, and I quote, as a ridiculous exhibition of deliberate fouling. But the team also appeared cold and befuddled somehow. Only team captain Bob Servant and guard Carver Leach really played up to their talents. 75 years later, that game still remains a mystery. In closing, I would suggest we love sports and sports teams, not just for the statistics and the trophies, but for how they move us with the drama and the emotional impact of their personalities and performances. The Elgin High Yearbook of 1949 struggled even to discuss that team's final game, but they said the season was one of glory and tragedy, deserving a prominent place in the community's memory. I hope you agree, and I'm pleased the Hall of Fame has rekindled that memory here tonight. Thank you very much. The team are here to share this evening with us anymore. The last member, Ron Wiesner, their starting guard and an outstanding athlete, passed away this spring at age 92. This team and its experiences were always close to his heart. On the other hand, I'm very pleased this evening that we have daughters of team captain Bob Servant here in the audience, and if they would be interested in stepping up and maybe saying a few words. They bought a particularly interesting item that the family had in reference to that story I told about needing a shoulder brace. So. These are Lori Servant Beaver and Sally Servant Wiedemann.
Well, we were really surprised to hear that our dad's team was going to be recognized. And our dad was a very humble person, and he didn't talk about, all the great things that he did, but everybody in Elgin, we weren't around, so they said, oh, your dad was really a great basketball player, And I just happened to bring this poster that my daughter Stacy, when she was in high school, she played basketball, and she had this picture of her grandpa blown up because he had to play with a harness. He got an injury in football, and so they put this brace on, and he continued to play. So he was a great guy, and I guess my sister and I just found out about him with the red toenail polish. We didn't. Yeah. My mom never told us about it.
I didn't need to hear that, but I just want to say that I was golfing at Wing Park one time, and some guy came up to me and goes, do you know your dad was one of the best basketball players of Elgin? I go, who are you? Vic Massey. So I'm like, okay, thank you.